Moin, I'm Catherine, and today I'm in bed with my favorite books of the month of June. And I know it's August already, but I gave myself a little filming holiday, so here we go, June. All in all, I've read and listened to 16 books in June, which is a lot, but there's a whole weekend of binge listening to Sophie Kinsella in there, which I did in preparation for my interview. That turned out super nice, especially considering that she didn't have a clue that she was going to be filmed in bed. That's also why we sit on the corner of the bed instead of in bed as usual. So, Sophie Kinsella. Let's start by saying that chick lit isn't my genre. It's just not. But that being said, the last part in the Shopaholic series, Shopaholic to the Rescue, this is the German version, was entertaining. Sophie Kinsella sure has a hand for hilarious dialogue, and I also liked the friendship between Becky, the main character, and her best friend Sue. I didn't care that much for the first 3 parts, mainly because they felt too dragged out for me, and also I find designer clothes stupid, and I have trouble with objects like calfskin suitcases. And don't get me wrong, it's not because calves are cute. I'm not okay with leather fabrics, no matter from which animal, because, you're wearing the skin of a sentient being. It's just so Hannibal Lecter. What's interesting though, as I never had read anything by Sophie Kinsella, but saw that she would be in Hamburg and considered asking her for an interview, I asked on my Facebook if anyone had read anything by her and what they thought about it, and especially if they thought that she would fit into this channel. And a friend of mine answered that she would never read anything by Kinsella because she would feel like she would have to leave her feminism hat at the door. And that's not true. In the novels I've read so far, you get strong and emancipated women or women who are on their way to being strong. And I think that if you're into chick lit, Sophie Kinsella is surely one of your best choices. I also took the binge listening weekend as my personal kick in the ass to finally start knitting socks. Usually I play with this jigsaw app while listening to audiobooks, but you can only do that for so long and not for a whole weekend, so these are my first attempts. And now for the books that made it into my favorite book list in June. And in June I got really lucky. Usually there's like 1 to 3 books I really like per month, but this month I struck out with 5 books, plus 4 I fairly liked, including 2 by Sophie Kinsella, so yay! First up is The Raven King, the last part in the Raven cycle by Maggie Stiefvater, and I really loved this one. I was so relieved because I loved the first part, and then I felt a little let down by the second and the third part. But all in all, I love the feel of the Raven cycle, I love the characters, and I loved how everything came together in the end, and that totally made up for the middle parts I didn't like that much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and that doesn't happen that often. Then I listened to Left Neglected by Lisa Genova, and I actually considered to stop listening to the audiobook right at the beginning because of the sentences. With all that has happened, I honestly believe that they, referring to the dreams she's been having, were guidance sent from a spiritual source, messages from God. And I really don't care for esoterical bullshit, but I decided to continue listening and ended up really liking this one. So Sarah, the main character, is a workaholic and one day has a car accident that leaves her with a severe head trauma and she can't feel her left side anymore, hence left, neglected, and double meaning. Her mother suffered from heavy depression and didn't take care of her as a child. And now after the accident, the mother suddenly shows up and wants to take care of Sarah. So the novel deals with this mother-daughter relationship and also how Sarah has to adapt to her new reality and her struggle to get better, and also how she changes her life to deal with her disability. On both accounts, I found the book psychologically very sound and interesting, and also if you're on the lookout for more strong female characters, this is definitely up your alley. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Now here's a fun fact. I'm stupid. I'm so bad on keeping up with new releases by authors I really love. So I'm also totally behind on Ruff, and how could that happen? Because I know how I'm stupid, but people, don't let this happen to me. If you see new releases by authors I constantly plug, tell me. So in June, I finally read The Mirage. And in The Mirage, Matt Ruff creates an alternate reality in which the United States of Arab are the world power, and 9/11 is an attack on the World Trade Towers in Baghdad by Christian fundamentalists. Several years later, a bunch of Arab Homeland Security agents capture a terrorist that claims that the world they live in is a mirage and that in the real world, the USA is the superpower, so they try to find out what's going on. I loved how detailed Matt Ruff turned the world upside down. I don't want to know how much research time went into this, and I'm sure I only got about half of the implications and historical references, but the ones I got were dead on. I think it's a total must-read. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. In my recent interview with Isabel Bogdan, she plugged the newest novel in this crime series by Simone Buchholz about Jess Riley, with the words, "It's amazing, a great crime novel that takes place in St. Pauli, which for you folks out there is the place in Hamburg where life happens, and The Guardian even named it one of the top 5 places to live in once. And that she's usually not a crime reader, but that she loves Simone Buchholz dearly." Isabel also says, "The novels are very snotty and streetwise, and a little rough, but very affectionate. It's a group of more or less broken people who take care of each other, and it's truly amazing." And that immediately appealed to me because I'm not a crime novel fan either, but I second everything that Isabel said. These are amazing. I'm totally looking forward to reading the rest of the series. I can imagine that they are a little too soft for hardcore crime novel readers, but for me it was just right. I totally love Simone Buchholz's witty language and how the characters act with each other. I gave both novels 4 out of 5 stars, and I look totally forward to interviewing Simone Buchholz in September, so watch out for that. And as with Isabel Bogdan's novel, I don't have a clue why these books aren't translated into English yet. In my opinion, every souvenir shop on the Reeperbahn, which is the heart of St. Pauli, should sell these with the hint that this is how life is on the inside. A little dirty, but with a big heart. And dear gentrification planners, we'd like it to stay this way, thank you very much. So on that note, support your local book dealer, and till the next time.
Love will make you drink and gamble. Stay out all night long.